Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about how to use 4Ps framework, which is people, product, place, and process for your research title. If you want a research title that is catchy, that people, as soon as they read, they understand what is that research is about, then you should be using that 4P framework. Now, in the last video, we have talked about coming up with a research topic or research idea. If you haven't watched that video, I will highly recommend that you please watch that video first and then come back to this video and watch how we can create a research title with 4P framework. On that, we are going to talk about people, product, place, and process one by one. So let's start. So before we talk about that research title, that how can you create it, just to let you know that the explanation is given in this book, which is research proposal, simplified research proposal, and all detailed explanation about the 4P framework, coming up with a research topic, coming up with a research title which is catchy and people can understand as soon as they read the title. Remember that title is one of the most important thing a reader is going to read. That is the first thing they will be reading. Either it's a book title or a research title or a title for a news article or whatever. That is the first thing a reader is reading, and from that title they decide should they go and read it further or not. So your research should tell the people that this is what this research is about. So let's start. Now, in that video, we are going to look into a couple of examples as well. But as I mentioned, more examples are given in this book. There is a worksheet as well, so please go and get this book, and the link to this book is available in the description of this video. So let's start. Now, as I mentioned, the 4P framework, which I came up with a long time ago, and that is now in this simplified research proposal book. That framework gives us 4Ps. What the first P is people, the second P is product, the third P is place, and the fourth P is process. And it tells us that we need to wisely pick and choose all these four of them, or maybe three of them at least, when we are drafting a research title. So how that is going to work, let's have a look. So the first one, if we talk about the people, now it asks us, who is this research about? I mean, the beneficiary of your research. Who is going to read your research? Who are the people you are targeting as an audience, that you think about that, okay, my research is about project management in maybe a clothing industry, so the project managers could be reading this research and they are the beneficiaries. So you need to think about who are the beneficiaries of your research. Who is this research for? It could be the students, it could be the academics, it could be the project managers, it could be somebody else. So you need to think about that. Okay, you are writing this research, who will be the beneficiary of your research? In that case, you can also think about who could be the respondents. If you are collecting data, if you are collecting primary data either through interviews or the surveys, then you need to think about who will be the people, your respondents. Now, in that, it might be anybody like Gen Z consumers, project managers, international students, or anybody else. It all depends on your research, because everybody has a different research title, different research idea, so your beneficiary is going to be different as well. I'm just giving you some examples today. So who is your research about? If you think about those people, that okay, let's suppose project managers, that this research is about project manager. It could be useful for the project managers, it could be useful for academics if you are writing a research on education side, maybe for higher education. If you're writing a research on primary school, it could be the teachers in the primary school, or the secondary school, the teachers in the secondary school, or maybe the lecturers in higher education. Now your research could be based on the people who are in industry, who is working working on AI and your research is based on implementing AI, or industry 4.0 technologies on a certain industry. So who will be the beneficiaries? The people who are actually implementing the technologies in that particular industry. So that is one P, people. So what you can do when you are thinking about people, you can just note down which people could be beneficiary for your research. Now, in some cases, when we are writing the PhD research, in terms of beneficiaries, we sometimes think about the beneficiaries in academia, the beneficiaries in the people who are making policies, maybe the government, or maybe some particular organizations. And also we also think about the industry as well. The industry people are going to be beneficiary. In some cases, it is possible there could be more than one beneficiary. So just note it down at that point. Okay, this research is for these people. And then you can decide later on that you want to include both of them or you want to include just one community of people. That is the later decisions. But at this time, just think about the people that who could be the beneficiary of your research or who could be the respondents. It is possible the people who are responding to your research, they are going to be your beneficiary as well. So just make a table or maybe just make some bullet points. So these people are going to be beneficiary. Now let's go to the second point, which is the product. And what I mean about the product is what you are hoping to develop. When you complete your research, what will be or what could be the final outcome? How that research will look like? Are you developing maybe a framework? Are you developing a guideline for the project managers in clothing industry about how to implement AI or industry 4.0 technology? So are you developing a framework? Are you developing a guideline? Are you developing a checklist? Are you developing something else? All research is about not just about talking about the problems, it is about giving them a solution as well. That is a good research if you give them a solution as well. It could be recommendations about the best practice, it could be a framework, it could be a guideline, or it could be a framework and a guideline, it could be a checklist and a guideline, or it could be something else. It depends on your research idea. But those are some of the normal one when you are working on your dissertation or you're working on a research paper, that you normally come up with these things. It could be challenges only, that you are talking about challenges. It could be the benefits only, or it could be the critical success factors only, which is absolutely fine. So your research title could include that the critical success factor in so and so industry while implementing AI or industry 4.0 or sustainability industry 5.0, or it could be whatever. Now when you are thinking about the product, you also need to think about the beneficiaries as well. So what you can think about that, okay, if these are the beneficiaries in people, the people you looked into earlier, if these are the beneficiaries, then what type of product they might be looking for? What type of product is useful for them? Do they work on frameworks or do they work on guideline? Is it just okay to come up with the recommendations, or how do those people work? So for that, you might need to do a little bit literature review, that people in IT industry or communication industry, people who are working on IT and working on communication technology, what type of the product could be useful for them? Is it going to be a framework? Is it going to be a guideline? Maybe it's going to be an application. Maybe it's going to be writing some coding for them or something like that. So you need to think about that based on your research idea. So it could be just a framework, a guideline, or both, just a checklist, recommendation, or both. It depends on your research. Now, my recommendation for that is, if you are doing a PhD, yes, you can come up with two things. But if you are working on, your dissertation where you got time limitations, so just go for one. That is my recommendation. Let's look at the third one. What it says about. So third one is a place. Now, we know the people who are the beneficiaries. We know the product, what product they will be looking for. Now, we also need to think about place. where those people are placed. So first thing, where those people are. So if the people are in UK, or if people are in Australia, or people are in US, or maybe any other country, maybe Africa, or India, or Pakistan, or Bangladesh, or wherever. Okay, so wherever the people are, so what you can do, you can restrict your research in that territory. You can restrict your research within that country, so you don't need to do research on different countries, like the people are in, let's suppose, in India, so, and you are researching on UK, so the outcome might not be valid for them. Why? Because the culture, maybe because of the weather is different, maybe because of the way industries are performing is different, maybe the economy is different, maybe the pricing is different, so that might not work in most of the cases. But there are other ways if you can't find data on one of the particular country, you can take the data from other country and try to analyze it. But that is a later thing. We can talk about it when we talk about research methodology. So over here, the place where is the study focused. So you need to have a focus, a specific, maybe a territory, maybe a region. For example, you're talking about UK startups, you're talking about Asian countries, you're talking about Africa continent, or you're talking about Latin America, you're talking about any particular country. So you need to think about a particular. So because that will give you a good opportunity to manage your research properly at a later stage. Right now, you might think that, okay, I'm going to write a piece of research, a dissertation, or a PhD thesis, and I'm trying to change the world. But that is not going to happen, because you just think in that way, that your contribution is going to be a tiny contribution in an ocean, maybe one drop, or maybe less than a drop in one ocean. So think in that way. You are not going to change the world. It is highly impossible in most of the cases. So what I'm trying to say is just try to keep a focus on your research, that where your research will be relying on. So you can think about a particular geographical location, a particular industry as well, and maybe a particular organizational context. So maybe you think about, okay, your research is about, let's suppose, project management in construction, but specifically in residential construction, not commercial. You are not talking about any other type of construction. So you're looking into residential construction, and in residential construction as well, you are just looking at multi-story buildings, residential buildings. You're not looking at dwellings, you're not looking at individual housing. You are just looking at multi-story building. And in multi-story buildings as well, maybe you are looking at which is more than 50-meter high. Okay, so that is where you are restricting yourself, which will become your limitations as well later on, when you are writing about your research limitation, that your research is limited to UK, your research is limited to residential building, your research is limited to multi-story residential building, and in that as well, which is higher than 50 meters, not lower than 50 meters. So that will give you good perspective, and that will give you clarity that what data you are looking for, and also give you clarity in terms of the literature review, what literature you need to review. So that will give you a lot more clarity about your research, and your research become very, very specific. Now the people who are working in a residential building construction, which are multi-story and higher than 50 meters, then those people will be your beneficiaries. The project managers on those type of buildings, they will be your beneficiaries. So bang on that, okay, this is your research, that is for you only, and they know when they read the title, oh, that is for me only. So when you think about the place, think about a geographic location, maybe a country, maybe a region. Bigger the scope of your geographic location, much complicated it will become, because in that case you have to look into data or literature review from all these places. Let's suppose we talk about Europe. So in Europe, we got like 28 countries, 27, 28 countries. So in that case, what we need to do, which country we are including and which countries we are excluding, that could be a problem. So when you say my studies are about the construction industry in Europe, but I'm only looking at the data from Germany and France, that's not right, is it? That in terms of data collection, that is not going to work, because you have to give equal consideration to all the countries, 28 countries. Otherwise, you need a robust justification to justify that, okay, you are excluding all those, but you are just including Germany and France. So you have to be very, very, very careful. If you include all those 28 countries in EU, then what will happen in that case? Then your data will be vast amount of data, and that could become unmanageable. So you got a lot of articles available, you got a lot of publications available on that, and you cannot sometimes decide which one you are going to choose, which one you are not going to choose. So that could be a big problem. But if you are thinking about UK market only, okay, in UK, residential building which are higher than 50 meters, that is the only data you are looking for. And when you search on Google Scholar, you might find maybe 50 articles, 20 articles, 10 articles, or maybe very less. And that gives you an opportunity. Let me tell you now, that gives you an opportunity that there is a research gap in that domain because you could not find any article. So that becomes your research gap. And that is your justification about your research gap, that this is your research gap because you could not find any article. And that is why, because there is a gap in literature, that is why it becomes important that you should do this research. Nobody can deny that. Your supervisor will be really happy. They won't say, oh, okay, go for another country or whatever. When they see the research gap, they also see the opportunity that if you do it right, then there will be opportunity that this research could be publishable, because it is demonstrating that there is a research gap. It is demonstrating that it is specific. It is demonstrating a clear picture of who are the beneficiaries. So that gives you a lot of opportunities if you use that 4P framework. But the last one here is the process. In process, now process is about how will you carry out this research. What will you do when you are collecting the data? Are you going for qualitative? Are you going for quantitative? Or you're looking at any mixed methodology or something else? So what will be your process to conduct that research? That could be a process. You can also think about the process of managing something. Let's suppose managing communication in construction projects. So managing communication in construction projects. So you are looking at the process of that. So that could be your outcome as well, that you are coming up with the best practice. But you need to think about a process, that how will you collect the data, how will you analyze the data, so that process as well. So in that, it could be a qualitative study, it could be a quantitative study, and if you include that in your research title, nothing like it. That will give you a clear picture to your reader that, oh, this is the qualitative research, and this is what I'm looking for, because I never seen a qualitative research in that particular area, or I never seen a quantitative research. So it could be, a conceptual, you can say conceptual framework when you are coming up with a framework. If you decide the product is framework, you can come up with conceptual framework. If you decide coming up with the best practice, you can say a qualitative study on the best practice, or quantitative study on the best practice, empirical study, or there are so many. So you need to decide. For that, you need to think about the research methodology now a little bit. Obviously, we will be talking about research methodologies on other videos, and research philosophy videos are already available to you. So we will be talking about all these later on. But just to give you a good idea about what is required when you're thinking about the process. So it could be qualitative, it could be quantitative. So you need to just think about which is the best process. If you are going to collect data from your respondents, what is the best way to do it? Is it qualitative or is quantitative, or both? Now, why do we do qualitative, quantitative, or both, which is mixed method? We will talk about it in another video when we talk about data triangulation and research methodologies. So, but for that, you need to I believe you need to subscribe to this channel and like the video and share it with other people, and also hit the bell icon, because whenever we have a video uploaded on this channel, or whenever I go live, and in live session you can ask me questions. So when you put the click the bell icon, you will get the notification from me, and you will be the first to watch the video as well. So in that, it could be a conceptual empirical research, it could be surveys, interviews, which is the qualitative and quantitative, theoretical or mixed method as well. So now we have covered those four things: the people who are the beneficiaries, for example, product, it could be a framework, it could be guideline, it could be recommendations, it could be best practice; place, it could be UK, it could be India, it could be Pakistan, it could be Africa, or it could be EU. Any pick and choose whichever you like. And the process, it could be qualitative, it could be quantitative. Now when we form a title like that, so now I'm going to show you an example, a quick one. When you form in a title like that, what will happen? Now, as I mentioned earlier, this book gives you all the examples how to use 4P with the fillable worksheets. This book is available in your library. You can ask your library that you need this book, but if you want to buy this book, that is available on Amazon as well. A paperback copy and a soft copy, which is the ebook, is available from Amazon Kindle. Now let's go to the example. Now in the example, it's a very simple example I have taken today. So on that, now I have aligned the process. So for example, a process study of, then you're going to put the in the brackets the products, for who, the people, and in which place, the place. Now you will realize, when I was showing you the questions about those process, product, people, and place, you will see that the questions are about how, who. Those are your best friends. So when you are doing a research, how, who, why, though, what, these are your best friend. Okay, consider asking those questions again and again to yourself, and when you are writing your research title or your aim and objective and all that. By the way, after this we will be having another video which is about how to create your aim and objectives. And once you have that title, I'm telling you now, once you have that title correctly, or a good title, it only takes 2 minutes to convert that into aim, and a few minutes to convert that into objectives. And with that, once you have an aim and objective, it will give you very clear picture what is your research methodology. So I'm going to give you a lot of tricks here, and you will be really happy. And when you are happy, I just want you in return to subscribe to the channel. I'll click the like button, and if possible, give you a comment as well, what do you like in the video, or if you want something else, I can create a video for you. That is what I need in return. I'm spending a lot of time and effort to create videos for you. In return, it only takes less than 1 second for you to hit on subscribe and the bell icon. So please, okay, let's go back to the example. On that, I have taken a very basic, a very generic topic here, which is communication practice in construction projects. So your research is about that you want to work on communication practice in construction project. So you want to understand what is the communication practice in the construction project. So you're looking for communication practice in construction project, which means construction industry. Here you are not specifically saying what type of construction industry. Construction industry could be, small scale job, maybe a house extension is construction. It could be large infrastructure project, for example, building a stadium, or maybe a bridge, or maybe something else, or maybe a railway project. Construction could be a housing project. Construction could be a commercial building. Construction could be building a warehouse. So it's have several different type of. So you haven't clearly says which construction you're talking about. And when you are thinking about communication practice, for all these construction project, communication practice could be different. For example, let me give a quick example. Let's suppose you want to do an extension in your house, and that project, construction project, will only take 1 week for that extension. Now, for that project, for communication purposes, will you use cloud services? Will you use, different type of applications or softwares, or you will only use the mobile phone to call the contractor? Oh, this has arrived. We need two more bags of cement. We need, some of the paint or all this. So, but if it think about a mega construction project. When we say mega construction, like very large, big scale, maybe building a bridge, or something else. So when we talk about those type of, then the communication need to be much better, because there are so many organizations working together, bringing material. There's so many suppliers in a typical construction project. It could be more than 100 suppliers. If you are building a home, let's suppose 2-bedroom house or 3-bedroom house, it could be more than 100 suppliers. So to communicate with them, project managers need some system, maybe like Microsoft project, or maybe some other better application to manage the project, and that can send the notification and people can have the information as well. So construction communication practice in construction project. Over here, what we are doing now, you can think about that. Okay, communication practice. Do you need a qualitative, quantitative, or you need empirical study, or do you need literature review only, which is a systematic literature review? Which one you want to go for? So you thought about an empirical study, which will be the process to come up with the product, come up with the outcome of this research. So empirical study, with that, it is clear that you have used some primary data to come up with that study, and that means that study could be much more valid. The outcome of the study could be much more valid. So what you are doing, you are looking at the empirical study, which is the process of communication practice, which is the product. The communication practice is the product. Among project managers now, who need communication practice? You need to think about the people who need that. So the project manager need to communicate with all the parties involved in that construction project. So project managers will need that better communication practice should be implemented in the project. So among the project managers, and which are the people, and where? Now, in the UK construction industry. Now, that is one thing. You want to be more specific, UK construction industry for residential construction, or for residential construction, residential construction with multi-story building, which is higher than 50 meters. So you can be much more specific, but in that case, title will be slightly longer. You can talk about that into your scope as well. But if you got room to write a title, just remember that your title should not be more than 20 words, okay? Which means one sentence, not more than 20 words. Try to keep it within 20, because if something is more than 20 words, that could be not in the readability kind of thing. It won't be very good, because people will lose track by the time they go to, when they are reading, when they reach to the end of the sentence, they might lose track. So that is a very good example of how to use the 4Ps in your research title. So you just need a research idea, which is, for example, here, communication practice in construction project. Once you got a research idea, you just need to work on how you are going to align those 4Ps into your research title. Now, your research title 4Ps is not necessary that you have to align them in a particular order. It could be in any order. For example, you're giving place before, and then product, and then people, and the process. So there is no need for that. As long as the title read good, is catchy, is all good. So guys, thank you very much. I would sincerely ask you again to please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. If you got any comments, please feel free to write the comments. And if you need any video, and I have like many comments for that video, people are asking for it, I will definitely come up with a video, not just on the research writing, but on the critical writing or anything related to academia, how to find or a better research topic and all that. Those videos are there. Research philosophy videos are there as well. Some critical writing videos are there. So altogether more than 50 videos are available to you on this channel. And don't forget to read this book, which is the Simplified Research Proposal. If you have already written the research proposal, don't worry, this book will still help you to write your dissertation and still help you if you are a PhD student. You will definitely learn a lot from that book. Otherwise, just return it back to Amazon. So guys, thank you very much. I'm Dr. Mandeep Saini, and thank you very much for joining me today. I will see you with the next video when we are talking about your aim and objectives, how to come up with the better aim and objectives, which are smart objectives and which are going to tell you the story of your research, and at the same time your research methodology as well. So you don't need to think about your research methodology much, and it will be justified by your research methodology, by your research objectives. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.